The defeated man gasps, his breath melting into the sea breeze. The sword draws a fatal arc, head flies. Blood bursts like crimson fireworks. Each count erases a life, the number shoots forth like an arrow. The steel blade blurs in blood, dancing madly without pause. Amid exhaustion, an ancient question rises: when did the world decay? The numbers surge like tides, endlessly swelling. It all began when humans basked in peace, blind to lurking doom. A curious child made the whole world look up to the sky. The moon twisted as if molded by a devil's hand. Then a pitch-black gate was born among the clouds. It gaped wide, spewing thick dark smoke like toxic rain. Chaos spread, some laughed, some trembled. One fool leaned closer, but once he looked, his smile was buried alive. He shuddered, crying out before the nameless alpha terror. Grotesque creatures flooded out like a living waterfall, devouring all. Only a blazing golden relic could seal that nightmare. Fail to claim it, and humanity would scatter like dust and wind. Awakened warriors bore the fate of closing hell upon their shoulders. They fought to exhaustion, dying atop comrades without rest. A commanding voice roared, "Don't retreat, just advance." A re-haired boy blazed forward, his allies paving the way with blood. Through endless perils, he reached the hidden key to salvation. With calm resolve, he touched the radiant golden treasure. In its blinding glow, he wondered, is this savior a curse? The moment he turned the key, hell shut tight, and the earth quaked. The moon regained its calm, and the people cheered from nightmare's end. He clenched the relic, a dangerous thought whispering, what if I turn it back? The awakened learned the key's dual power to open or seal, turning beasts into gold mines for a new age. Years later, monster hunting became the most profitable trade. Beyond the gate, the cliff stood silent like the world's edge. A lone figure fell like a leaf drifting from its branch. The beast stared coldly, eyes glinting with icy hunger. He laughed bitterly among the strong. He was mere nameless dust. His body crashed down like a boulder, flesh shattered, bones broken. The stench of blood lured monsters closer, despair consuming his sanity. In his dying vision, a golden-haired angel burst through the night. He whispered faintly, "Is that really you?" The long-craved power erupted, surging through every vein. Yet that flame would one day scar him forever. The story rewinds to the battlefield called Wugoi Chi. A group of awakened ones struggled in a violent melee. A young man's sword danced deftly, slicing beasts like mist. He stared in awe, quietly admiring such overwhelming strength. When the fight ended, the support crew arrived. The commander barked, 1G, do your job." The leader's bold voice ignited everyone's spirit. Fang 1G, an 18-year-old errand boy of the camp. Since the Hell Gate opened, humans must hunt monsters to maintain order. Logistics handle transport, support, and collecting precious materials. Yet one slip means death faster than a blink. 1G, a mortal among warriors, endured it all to buy medicine for Xiaoyu. A blond man wheezed heavily, complaining like an old geezer. Hearing his name, 1G rushed over with water like a frantic sparrow. Seeing his bloody hand touch the bottle, the man snarled in disgust. 1G bowed silently, sadness tangled with thoughts of Xiaoyu's love. Meeting Jian Chin, he politely offered water to ease the tension. The scared man with a cross-shaped mark glared with a killer's gaze. He flicked his hand, splashing water like liquid contempt. One kick sent 1G flying like a torn doll. He roared, ordering his lackeys to vent their rage with fists. The goons lunged like a pack of rabid dogs. Each blow burst like a star exploding in 1G's skull. He writhed, begging weakly in confusion and pain. Jian Chin, cold as ice, slammed his face into the ground. His mocking laughter bit harder than any torture. The mountain stood silent, sky and clouds watching the torment. Jian Chin dragged his body away, leaving a red trail amid cruel laughter. His face swollen, 1G trembled, asking why he was punished so brutally. Jian Chin's eyes gleamed with cruelty as he yanked his hair, dangling him between life and death. He grinned wickedly, choking him as if crushing a ripe orange. 1G gasped and struggled, while the other roared with scorn. After a stream of insults, he let go, dropping him like a broken leaf. His body plunged into the abyss, hands flailing for fading dreams. Above, Jian Chin smirked and ordered the execution, mocking life itself. His henchmen obeyed, snapping the golden key and tossing it into the dark. His body hit the rocks with a dry, fateful crack, broken to pieces, yet his breath stubbornly clung to life. 1G groaned softly, shocked to still be conscious amid the ruins. Opening his eyes, he faced a massive beast whose breath shook the earth. His weak body could move, he muttered in despair. A heavy paw pinned him down, the ground cracking beneath the pressure. Its jagged jaws gaped wide, ready to tear him apart. But from the shadows, another beast lunged, knocking it aside, a fleeting spark of hope. His heart barely steadied when a new pack arrived, sniffing blood like wolves. Trembling, he staggered on, each step pure agony. Behind him, wings flapped and full breath brushed his neck. He gritted his teeth, hurled away fear, and screamed his final defiance. With desperate force, he threw a stone into the dark. Miraculously, it struck the monster's only eye dead center. Blood sprayed as its roar shook the abyss. 1G's heart raced. Had he just touched legend? But legend warped to nightmare. The beast swelled, sprouting dozens of crimson eyes. It lunged, and he could only shriek his last despairing words. One sweep hurled him into the rocks, body shattered like a puppet cut loose. His fading gaze dimmed, breath melting into the cold night. His necklace snapped free, falling like a torn fragment of memory. A faint clink glass broke, revealing a golden-haired girl smiling like dawn. 1G lay sprawled, reaching for the photo as monsters crept closer. A giant foot crushed his hand, bones snapped, yet no pain matched his broken promise to Kinyu. Tears and blood mixed on his cheek as his trembling hand reached only for despair. His final tears fell into the red pool, dissolving like memories. The monsters hadn't sensed the strange miracle about to unfold. Suddenly, divine light exploded, burning everything to ash and lighting the sky. Within that radiance, he felt himself pulled from death's grasp. A golden-haired angel appeared, white wings shimmering between dream and reality. A cold system voice echoed, asking her intent to bestow holy power. She nodded softly, surrendering her gifts and hiding the recipient's name. Her hand touched his brow, voice gentle as dawn breeze. Holy energy surged through his veins like flooding light. Her last words lingered, use this gift to live on. He sprang up, body restored, death erased. His eyes glowed strangely, holding the entire sky within. Radiance crowned his head, white wings spread in majesty, light condensed in his palm into a massive sword. Power surged, and he exhaled with fierce excitement. Gazing down at the shrieking beasts, his eyes turned steel cold. Without hesitation, his sword fell like thunder. A violet beam exploded, piercing the fog of space. Monsters burst into shreds as he soared through blood rain like a vengeful god. The system trembled, declaring the awakening complete. The dying beast whimpered weakly amid the wrecked battlefield. He swooped down, crushing ahead with his wings, roaring like storm thunder. Seeing his old foe, his blood boiled and he bellowed for battle. The holy sword cleaved the air. Met by the beast's rising tentacles, the system warned coldly. The divine power neared its limit. From its crimson eye, the beast unleashed a deadly death beam. When G spread his white wings, straining to block, teeth grinding hard, he hissed, feeling his power chained and suppressed. Helplessness clenched his heart, still just a mortal among titans. The system droned. Error detected, user incompatible with divine gift. As the beast's claws struck, he was lost in venomous despair. Warnings blared, vengeance levels exceeding safe threshold. Darkness flooded his eyes, devouring the remaining light. At the brink of death, black aura erupted. 1G roared his vow of annihilation. The system glitched, repeating distorted sounds like it would explode. As the claw neared, his sword pierced straight through its palm. Blood splattered as he screamed, fury blending with every breath. From the hilt, black mist spread, swallowing the light whole. The blade turned pitch black, silent as the abyss. The monster howled in agony, its cry echoing across the dungeon. The halo above him vanished, replaced by rippling shadow, and G drowned in endless wrath. The beast still stared blankly. Unaware death now stood before it. It lashed its tentacles. He only smiled coldly and roared for more. The system announced the divine gift had evolved into a new form. Dark energy coiled, binding the tentacles in chains of death. In mere seconds, they were sliced apart, blood raining like black storm. Terror filled the beast's eyes as 1G became an avenging wraith. His gaze cut through the monster's heart like a blade. The creature trembled, frozen in pure terror. Step by step, 1G advanced, his chilling aura suffocating the air. The system declared new gift. Fallen angel of resentment has taken full control. Holy gold turned into sinister blue-black. His presence reigned like abyssal royalty. He raised the black sword, its tip aimed straight at his foe. His deep voice thundered a verdict: summon all your kin now. The monster shrank, knowing only submission remained. A roar burst forth, summoning call echoing across the sky. The heavens darkened with black-winged beasts storming in like a tempest. When G smirked, disdain gleaming at the ragged army, he leaped, his blade tracing a deadly streak that ripped the air apart. Demon corpses fell like rain, blood painting the heavens hellish red. Spotting a one-aid fugitive, 1G became a black flash, slicing fate itself. The creature froze, terror crawling through its flesh. Raising his blade, 1G roared, "Spare you, dream on," and struck. The sword pierced its skull, blood spraying like a crimson storm. The sky trembled as the queen insect arrived, buzzing like a shrieking gale. Wiping the blood, he grinned finally. Something fun. Surrounded by hordes, his eyes stayed icy. Come and die. A snap of fingers, and light exploded, vaporizing the swarm instantly. He looked up at the shifting glow, muttering, "Still incomplete." He shouted a command, voice like an incantation. Retract. The light vanished, leaving silence thick as stone. Amid the stench of corpses, his cold gaze whispered, "Still hiding, are you?" Cores glittered across the ground like falling stars. He bent down, barking, "Absorb." The system replied flatly, "Energy type incompatible." 1J froze, thinking he'd misheard. The black armor dissolved. He mused that his power now defied all rules. Trying again, he roared, "Absorb," but black mist only surged from the corpses to engulf him. Alarmed, he muttered, "This isn't spiritual energy." Deathly vapor coiled from the carcasses, slithering into his flesh like living smoke. He realized he wasn't absorbing life but death itself, and a shadow wolf lunged from behind. Without looking back, he swung, blood splattering as ladder thundered in the iron-scented air. From that moment, he became a killing engine, addicted to slaughter for strength. He believed the day to avenge Jian Chin was near. Nothing could stop him. Returning to where it all began, his black wings folded as he landed on the cold earth. Glancing around, he muttered, "Where's the gate?" Seeing the broken key shard, his eyes darkened with dread. He screamed, crushing the metal in hand, swearing he'd never die here. Turning away, he vowed to devour and destroy until escape revealed itself. A year later, over 175,000 beasts had fallen by his hand. They no longer challenged him. One kick alone shattered armor hard as steel. He tore beasts apart barehanded, blood flowing like rivers. He chewed raw flesh to survive. The stench his daily meal. A year of solitude passed. Time itself his mute companion. In darkness, old memories returned. The tender moment he held Kinyu, asking about the book in her hands. She held up a thick book, smiling as she pointed at a monster sketch. This thing's worth a whole apartment in the capital. Her finger traced the drawing of the key bearer, saying it existed between dream and reality, reborn with each world reset. That year, the boy had asked dumbly, and she giggled, explaining the dungeon's cycle of rebirth. The memory faded, dragging him back to the present with a flicker of hope. Clenching his fists, his eyes blazed, slay them all, and the world will restart. That's the only exit. Over the next year, he slaughtered more than 3 million aberrations. By year 3, the number soared past 15 million. Blood dyeing the heavens, amid mountains of corpses, he sighed heavily. When will it end? Suddenly awakened, he turned and followed the sound of rushing water away from the massacre. In the dim light, the river roared while countless red eyes flickered in the dark. Gazing into the pitch-black current, he guessed this was the spawn pit of endless monsters. Then, the sight before him froze his soul, words dying in his throat. A colossal eyeless beast loomed, jaws lined with teeth and glass creature. He instantly donned his armor, gripped his blade, and dashed forward like lightning, but its overwhelming power flung him away, shaking heaven and earth. He hissed, muscles tensed. One mistake and him dead. In a blur, he countered, appearing before it within a blink. His blade swept wide, leaving a blinding arc and a fountain of blood. Yet his body collapsed, hip torn open, breath broken. Maybe this is it. The heavy stench drew more beasts, swarming like starving ants. In his mind, Jian Cin's image rose, igniting fury and vengeance. Deathly energy from the glass corpse surged in, sealing his wound instantly. For revenge and for his vow to Kinyu, he gritted his teeth. Had killed till freedom came. Wings flared, he soared into the horde, eyes blazing with survival fire. His sword stormed through them, blood turning the world scarlet. 20 years later, a glowing violet tree rose on the wasteland, and he stood atop, silent. Now only one creature remained, Given, mesmerized by the purple light, ripe for the hunt. When the moment came, when G-Dove like lightning slash, the sword crashed down on Given's skull without mercy. The cut was so deep bone gleamed beneath the flesh, yet the wound sealed instantly as if nothing had happened. Given went berserk, roaring and swinging massive claws to crush him. When G dodged swiftly, frustration boiling after a year, still powerless against it, the beast howled like a mad titan, shaking the very air. Sonic waves shattered the ground, but 1G, used to the trick, evaded, without pause. Given summoned blazing red circles filling the sky. Beams rained down like arrows. 1G cursed. Not this damn move again. Bitterness gnawed him. He despised his weakness under one technique. He weaved through the air, dodging beams by inches. One slip meant death. Closing in, he conjured a ring of dark energy, swallowing the light whole. Given cackled wickedly, revealing the trap had been set all along. At once, a new magic array flared beneath him. Boom. The land shattered. 1J took the full blast, cloak torn to shreds, yet he stood firm, body trembling but unbroken against the storm. Seeing this, Given grinned, praising him as a rare opponent worth the thrill, and unleashed a storm of attacks, forcing 1G back in blood and despair. The monster's claws tore his face, blood dripping steadily. Given arrogantly offered him surrender as the price for life. The words felt like a command, magic above ready to strike. 1G laughed mockingly, scoffing at a beast daring to preach to man. He asked, but am I even human anymore? His wounds closing like dark magic. The provocation enraged Given, who lunged in a frenzy. Spells rained down but sliced only illusions, leaving no harm. Shadows thickened around 1G, absorbing the blows. Given froze in shock. 1G declared the power of darkness awakened, invincible between life and death. Given saw his hand bleeding, the wound refusing to heal. Black energy erupted from 1G, his chilling roar condemning Given. The death spirit pendant glowed, his icy sword sliced through space. One clean swing cleaved Given in half like filleting a fish. The strike shattered the mountain behind, rocks cascading like rain. The beast's headless body bled into a lake, its life force gone. 1G watched coldly, sensing the reset mechanism activate. Light poured from the heavens, flooding the land as he stared unblinking. Within the glow emerged a small beast shaped like a child. 1G instantly recognized it as a Xi Pai. He leapt forward, the ground cracking beneath his launch. His wings burst wide. Air rode as he sliced toward his target. The creature looked like a greenish child with a key-shaped head and translucent body. 1G reached it, placing his hand upon the clear flesh. In a flash, his hand sank deep into the gelatinous body. With his other hand he pressed harder. Face turned, Saipi screamed in terror. 1G roared a command, his voice full of divine authority. Give me the key. The creature's body warped, stretching like molten resin. Within seconds, it reverted into the true form of the keykeeper. 1G calmly thrust his hand in, pulling out a shimmering key. Emotion welled up. He smiled warily yet fulfilled. The crimson sky erupted as blinding light struck down with thunderous force. Mountains crumbled, earth split. Yet when Jay stood firm in the crater, he stared blankly, wondering if this was reality or illusion. Jumping from the pit, he found only desolate silence and cold emptiness. A massive boar charged. Drooling, he smirked in disdain. Its brutal hit forced him to brace, the blade tearing his arm open. Ji gritted his teeth, puzzled why beast remained after the dungeon's purge. With a booming punch, he sent it flying hundreds of meters like a bullet, yet it merely fainted, making him chuckle dryly. Excited over a pig? Really? He sighed, realizing his current strength was pathetically weak. Apparently, all death energy had drained to prevent the world's collapse. Now he was little more than the feeblest of the awakened. While trekking the woods, Ji spotted a small cabin hidden among trees, likely a hunter's old hut. He knocked and called out, but silence answered. Inside lay a skeleton amid dried blood. He walked past calmly. His gaze caught fine clothing on the floor. He picked it up, baffled by the hunter's absurd fashion sense. In the coat pocket, he found a crumpled map, maybe his savior after 20 years lost. He placed a blue crystal on a wooden crate, payment for his new clothes. Following the faded directions, J traced the path toward the bustling central district. Yet his true destination lay only at the hospital where Can You once waited. Longing choked his chest. Suddenly, a young man offered him a flyer, cheerfully promoting Hun Kwang Guild. One glance ignited old hatred. The face of Jian Chin smirked on the page. A shrill siren jolted him from memory, heart pounding like war drums. Ahead, a giant screen displayed Jian Chin, his voice booming through the streets. 20 years later, the man was hailed as a hero, worshipped as humanity's savior. The praise bold Ji's blood, his teeth clenched with fury. He crushed the flyer, aching to crush the traitor's throat just as easily. As propaganda blared, he turned away, tossing the paper with an icy stare. Soon he arrived before the hospital gates. Seeing the familiar, aged walls, he sighed, the weight in his heart unbearable. Then came a plea. A frail old woman knelt before a priest, begging for her child's life. The priest replied coldly, saying only a grade core could pay the healing cost. He shoved her down, spitting cruel words of disdain. Ji caught her swiftly, eyes dark, asking softly if she was hurt. She looked up, recognized him, and wept aloud, his name echoing down the hall. Stunned, he realized it was Sister Zhang, Can You's caretaker, and quickly asked where she rested. Tears welled as she scolded gently why had he stayed away so long. Sobbing, she confessed Can You could wait no longer, leaving him frozen in grief. Her words struck like a blade to his heart. He collapsed, soul falling into emptiness. The sun still shone, birds still sang, but his world turned to ash. Sister Zhang guided him to a quiet cemetery, voice trembling with painful memories. She recounted how 20 years ago, Can You's illness worsened. No blessing could save her, so she was buried here. Old tears returned, her hands trembling with unending sorrow. Each word tightened Ji's chest. Guilt crushed him. His tears fell uncontrollably. From his pocket, he drew a glowing red core, offering softly, Please take this as her farewell gift. Horrified, she refused, unable to keep such a priceless relic, but he pressed it into her hands, insisting she use it to save another life, then begged to stay by the grave. Moved by his sincerity, she nodded tearfully and left. Once her figure vanished, Ji quietly reached into his pocket. Moments later, he pulled out a handful of shimmering cores, voice trembling as he called her name. Choked with emotion, he spoke of his unfinished dream to forge a necklace of 5 finest gems for his beloved. He collapsed, screaming through tears. Nothing mattered anymore. Thick death aura rose, swirling around his body unnoticed. Still kneeling, he clutched the tombstone as if to hold her soul. His sobs mixed with the wind. He cursed himself for not being there at her end. Silence shattered when an airship had drifted past, blaring the triumph of the Hun Kwang Guild. The jubilant noise pierced his ears like blades, and the death aura around him boiled violently. In a rage peak, he roared Ting Ken's name, vowing total annihilation. With a flick, black aura became blades, shredding the enemy's airship. The explosion lit the sky while far away Jian Chin sipped wine indifferently. His subordinates panicked. He just smirked coldly, amused by the chaos. In the graveyard, Ji felt death aura restore half his strength, power boiling in veins. As night fell, city lights blazed, life buzzed unheedless. At the Awakener's exchange gate, an automated voice greeted his id. Gazing inside the bustle, he murmured, nostalgic for bygone days. The place gathered free Awakeners, souls once unbound like him, but now he waited in silence, biding time to end Tencent. The center buzzed like a night market, filled with weapon and core deals. One bargainer shouted, urging haste to run a dungeon mission. The old seller sneered, saying the beast's worthless, no core inside. When the seller snapped back, Ji spoke calmly, silencing all. He explained the creature hid its core in its claws, not the body. With deft moves, claws cracked. Golden cores clattered out. The old man's eyes gleamed. 6 crank gems hit the jackpot. He offered one in thanks, but Ji declined. Asking a favor, he inquired if the man could take him into the dungeon. The man frowned. Others seek loot, yet this guy just tags along. Ji smiled, claiming research on beasts, secretly musing of death aura. When asked his power, he said mildly, no talent, just logistics. A long-haired guy snorted, mocking a talentless man fit for chores. The old man hushed him but admitted weaklings endangered the team. One weak link, he warned, could doom all inside a dungeon. Woon-ji ignored him, eyes on Ho's bandaged arm. He asked softly about the wound. Calm yet curious, the old man sneered. Ho failed miserably at the Soul Storm Guild exam. Ho snapped back. Silent, Woon-ji unwrapped the bandage. Diagnosing a blood toxin needs be core an expert purifier. Toho smirked, daring him to cure it himself. Woon-ji's cold smile hinted at secrets behind his eyes. He asked for a beast claw, gave it to Ho, told him to chew. Ho obeyed skeptically but did as told. It was a decoy. Woon-ji secretly used death aura to cleanse the poison. When the bandage came off, Toho gaped, his arm healed, shouting with joy. The old man laughed, clapped his back, and welcomed him aboard. Slinging arms over both, he talked recruiting more talents, but the archer froze, sniffing a strange metallic scent. He narrowed his eyes at the scent source, coldly questioning the man's outfit. The blond man called his superior, sweating as asked about the missing son, stammering he hadn't found him. He added someone wore the boy's clothes but smelled more corpse than human. A furious roar burst from the phone, ordering him to tail the target. Trembling, the archer obeyed, promising constant updates. He rushed to Woon-ji's group, asking to join. The leader laughed, asking his ability, puffing his chest. He bragged of supersensitive 5 senses, a born archer. The leader grinned, high-fived him, praising his survival instinct. He drew his huge blade, shouting proudly that 5 made a full team move out. Woon-ji paused, silently counting only 4 visible. Soon they reached the forest edge, where a hooded girl awaited. The leader greeted cheerily, joking she was early from loneliness. He earned her curt reply she disliked crowds. Woon-ji eyed her and asked flatly if she was the 5th member. The girl, Miexiota, flinched from his gaze but couldn't escape it. In a blink he realized she wasn't human but a perfectly disguised phantom beast. Even the sharp-sensed archer hadn't noticed, stoking his hunter's suspicion. Yet oddly, the creature gave off no killing aura at all, a first for him. The leader raised a glowing key, shouting the command as Woon-ji felt dread stir. He guessed this dungeon hid no obvious villain, something subtler lurked. Once everyone was set, the leader turned the key midair with a heavy click. A portal burst open, light swallowing them whole. The leader yelled for the squad to move in fast. Woon-ji glanced again at Mexiso Kona, uneasy about her beastly truth. Seeing his hesitation, Taho approached, reminding him of the life debt and urging caution, but Woon-ji snapped back, eyes icy, commanding silence. That glare drained color from Taho's face in cold sweat. He bowed and entered the gate, muttering resentfully. Woon-ji inhaled deeply, no turning back now. Without pause, he strode through the portal, leaving fate to decide. Once inside, the gate shrank and vanished. The forest fell silent again as if none had ever passed. Inside, Feng Woon-ji landed, instantly scanning his teammates. The leader counted heads, calling for full attention. Sternly he warned the dungeon wasn't tough, but heat and toxins killed the careless. The mission target magma hounds, fangs and cores worth a fortune. The leader paired himself with Mage Toho. Miexiota, the controller, teamed with the archer. Feng Woon-ji was assigned to collect loot. Before a breath passed, roars thundered, beasts charged. Tao thrilled while the leader shouted a countdown of 10. Woon-ji alone stayed calm, eyes glacial and unreadable. The beast multiplied fast, one opened its jaws, smoke billowing and eyes blazing red. The leader charged, shouting for Ho to follow up. His sword split the monster clean in two. Taho raised his staff, summoning a storm of icy rain. The lava skin froze into gleaming spikes, reflecting ghostly firelight. Taho arrogantly yelled at Woon-ji to pick up the loot. He silently obeyed, collecting fangs and cores efficiently. Every motion was calm. He muttered to himself to endure and wait. Suddenly, instinct screamed danger from behind. He spun instantly, gaze sharp as a blade. 2 beasts met that stare and fled in terror. Meanwhile, the archer and Mebixiao-kun focused on their own tasks. The archer grumbled, annoyed to be paired with her instead of tailing Woon-ji as ordered. Distracted, they were soon surrounded by monsters. He cursed himself, sweating hard for losing focus. Mebixiao-kun stayed calm, her soft yet firm voice commanding him to follow orders. Horns glowed beneath her hood, unleashing rippling sonic waves. The nearest beast shrieked, stunned mid-motion. Its eyes closed as its body froze like hypnotized stone. The girl signaled sharply, attack now. The archer refocused, scanning and counting targets. He murmured, firing angles, bowstring drawn taut as steel. The arrow flew, piercing the first eye dead center. It tore through several more, shredding half the horde in one shot. He recalled the arrow, smirked, done. His synergy with the Mikexion was flawless. Elsewhere, Taho and the leader competed in body counts, blood and cheers flying. Feng Woon-ji simply stood amid battle, silent and watchful. He smirked faintly, thinking these small fries could serve as his rest break. Toad sauntered over, mocking if head turned to stone from all the gore. Drunk on victory, he cast Ice Dominion Cannon, blasting another beast. The creature quivered, his red eyes glaring hatred before dying. Feng Woon-ji sensed danger, shouting to stop magic, kill it by blade. But Toho'd scoff, yelling no one could order him, telling others to fend for themselves. He then unleashed Steelbone Frost Roar, eyes spread everywhere, freezing even the bluttered pupils. Feng Wenji, a cursed half-dead beast mutate magic only worsens it. Mid-sentence. The ice exploded as the monster roared insanely. Its body swelled huge. Towering Toho gaped at the new form. Ignoring fear, he yelled kill first, and hurled ice-piercing lance. The lance shattered on impact like a gnat on iron. The beast glared, bloodlust pouring out. The ground split, lava erupting before his face. Feng Wenji sighed irritably, looks like he'll have to handle this. Just as death loomed, Toho leapt skyward, barely escaping. The leader gawked, since when could he fly, landing safely. Ho panted, drenched in sweat, hardly believing he lived. Regaining breath, he stammered a plea to retreat. The situation was out of control. The leader growled, no loot yet, and already talking retreat. Holpei then, he ordered Mituxiokun into battle, and she obeyed instantly, but before casting, she gasped, the enemy's too strong, her control useless. Toho panicked, clutching the leader, begging to retreat, better broke than dead. Suddenly his body emitted strange mist. He was yanked by an unseen force straight toward the monster. The leader froze, thinking he'd gone mad, seeking death. Dragged to the beast's jaws, Tog screamed in despair. The smoke, in truth, was Feng Wenji's silent manipulation. The beast's mouth steamed like a molten crater ready to burst. It fired blazing magma at him. He shrieked and dodged wildly. Then, abruptly, the beast froze mid-rage and fell asleep. Feng Wenji realized that was the skill's weak window. Perfect timing. He flicked two fingers, calm and confident. Tao's body froze, his left hand gripping his weapon tight. The weapon morphed into a cold, gleaming sword. He stammered, dumbfounded, where had this blade come from? The sword moved on its own, driving his body to attack despite his screams. One swing cleaved the monster in half, while he groaned helplessly. The strike even sliced a giant rock behind like butter. Feng Wenji clicked his tongue, controlling humans with death aura sure lacked finesse. When done, the sword reverted to its normal shape obediently. Trembling, Toho stammered, had he really done that himself? The leader, delighted, laughed and applauded his hidden ace. He forced a crooked smile, muttering he just got stronger when cornered. Feng Wenji's cold gaze mocked the thief stealing his glory. The archer reminded them they'd finished 3 of 10 watches. Asking next move, the leader hesitated, saying he had an idea but wasn't sure to speak it. He revealed the cheap key was due to this dungeon swallowing countless lives. Deep inside lay a deadly forbidden zone none returned. Not even him who once stopped at the gate. Since Taho beat a brank beast, he proposed exploring it. Everyone stared as Chiro paled speechless. Before protest, Feng Wenji subtly twisted his wrist, seizing control again. Taho nodded like a puppet, and the leader cheered. The master agrees. Move out. In a blink, the scene shifted. They stood before a dark, icy cave, raising lamps. They crept forward, scanning every shadow. The leader, sweating, ordered them to stay close, but turning around, Mituxiokun was gone. Panicking, he grabbed a hoe, insisting the master was their safest bet. Feng Wenji followed silently, eyes slicing through the gloom. In his mind, he reasoned such beasts wait until pre's deep inside to seal exits and kill all. He sensed them lurking near the junction, poised to strike. Suddenly, footsteps crept up from behind, eyes gleaming with malice. It was the gentle archer, his heart full of hidden suspicion. After a few steps, Feng Wenji halted, eyes flashing with discovery. He exclaimed in shock. The creatures ahead had mutated repeatedly, a horde of giant demons encircling them with feral might. The archer behind gripped his bow warily while Feng Wenji broke into cold sweat. Cursing his luck, then came a deadly slash of sound, a flash like lightning. None saw the move, only demons shredded as Feng Wenji tore through them all. The archer froze, eyes wide like stone. The demon chief hadn't even grasped what happened. In a blink, killing intent pierced him clean through, blowing his minions away. Feng Wenji stood amid smoke, eyes gleaming. Just a few more fights and his death aura would be reborn. Suddenly, a massive crimson pupil appeared, burning like hellfire. He grinned, thrilled at last to meet a worthy foe. The beast roared, punching down like thunder. He dodged as lava sprayed in torrents. He gathered inner force, energy pooling in his palm. In a blink, a colossal energy orb formed, hurled into the molten stream. His deep voice mocked, "Child's play, you dare compare with me?" The orb devoured the magma flow like candy. The demon exploded into ash, the cave quaking with the blast. Aho jumped, cursing what the hell just happened. The energy beam pierced the cave mouth, shattering rock and earth. From the corpses, black mist rose and was absorbed, his death aura thick as toxic fog. The archer sweated, thinking the man before him a monster in human skin. Better bury old grudges. A faint noise sounded. Feng Wenji spun, snapping coldly. "Who's there?" The archer trembled, swallowing hard, thinking he was done for. Feng Wenji blurred past, eyes slicing through the dark. The archer's heart nearly burst. Thankfully, he wasn't the target. Suddenly Feng Wenji grabbed a hidden figure from the ground, voice dripping mockery. The captive was Mituxiokun. He drew his sword to her throat, demanding if she still dared resist. His grip tightened till she coughed blood, face drained white. In that instant, her true form, Phantom Beast, was revealed. He remained calm, as if he'd known all along, coldly confirming her identity, then pressed her for her purpose. Warning lies meant death. Mituxiokun gasped, saying had slain Teen Tenud at the graveyard. She added she'd witnessed him crash the man's airship that same day. Ironically, her own target then had also been Ting Hun, but her glance flicked back, hinting the eavesdropping archer no more words needed. Hearing this, Feng Wenji sheathed his blade. Eyes icy as he looked past her, he said flatly, "We never met. I'll spare you this time." Then he strode toward the archer, who stumbled away in panic. Mikexio Chun shifted back to human form, watching silently, suspicion glinting. Curiosity overcame her. She asked what he was really planning. He smirked faintly, replying he was just a core collector, nothing more. 5 hours later, the leader and Daho laughed. Sure, the monsters had fled from the great master's aura. The leader asked Feng Wenji if he'd found anything strange. He only smiled and gave a curt huh. The scene shifted to a forest where a glowing gate opened into another realm. Feng Wenji's team stepped out, battle scent still fresh. The leader eagerly asked about loot, urging him to show the spoils. He held out a few cores, making the leader sigh too few. He blamed weak teammates for poor results. Then calmly, Feng Wenji poured a handful of glowing ones into his palm, leaving the man stunned, demanding where he got them. Before shock faded, he produced even more, forming a small pile. The leader laughed, declaring a feast tonight. Feng Wenji coldly declined, saying he had other matters. The leader shrugged, leading the group away, leaving only him, Doho, and Mexio Kyun fading from view while the archer lingered. The archer immediately called someone, demanding 3 million to lead the boss to his son's killer. Meanwhile, Feng Wenji calculated the death aura hadn't grown much. Suddenly, a blow from above smashed down violently. He dodged fast, yet the strike cracked the air itself. A hidden magic trap flared, but he shattered it with necro energy, smirking at the fool using his own element. Mid-thought, he felt his power draining away. His body froze, energy flow locked. From the shadows, 3 strangers surrounded him. A mocking familiar voice the archer bragged had hired pros, just to break some bones, not kill. He fired a gleaming arrow straight at Feng Wenji. Dark aura surged as death mist coiled around him. One enemy chanted softly, muttering like a monk. The arrow vanished before hitting. A glowing sigil appeared under his feet, runes burning bright. The chanter kept his silky mantra going. Spikes shot from the ground toward him. The archer squinted, losing another arrow to seal his escape. Feng Wenji sneered, right hand flashing as he crushed the arrow midair. Yang Jing grinned darkly, pressing a hidden switch, saying the stage lights were ready. A blinding beam engulfed Feng Wenji, complete. He winced, muttering, "Too bright, it's blinding." When the glare faded, a spectral hand of necro energy clutched him tight. One accomplice murmured praise. Lasting this long was impressive. The leader leaned close, saying, "Don't kill, just keep him alive." The last thug grinned and agreed, mid-sentence. The thug's hand twisted grotesquely, fingers writhing like snakes. He roared, lunging to silence Feng Wenji forever. Calmly, Feng Wenji spat a green liquid. On contact, it split the man's hand open, flesh bursting apart. The man screamed horribly, collapsing in agony. Feng Wenji smiled faintly, shaking off the death chains with ease. From afar, a black-haired woman froze, eyes wide with terror. Trembling, she cast a binding spell, sweat soaking her brow as her strength waned. Feng Wenji donned his death armor, or exploding, ordering no escape. He kicked lightning fast into her stomach. She collapsed completely, drained to power. Only one remained. He panicked, chanting desperate incantations. From the circle, blazing arrows shot upward. Feng Wenji clicked his tongue. Unimpressed, he dashed forward, shouting that his patience had ended. His punch shattered the man's jaw, blood gushing like a stream. At that instant, he sensed someone lurking behind him. He spun like wind, closing in on the archer. His glowing hand snapped the bow clean in half with a chilling crack. The archer froze, mourning the ruined bow more than his life. Muttering about its cost, Feng Wenji coldly grabbed his wrist, lifting him up, voice low, "Who sent you?" A thought flashed, if it's Tang Ten, his cover's blown, and silence must follow. A sharp jerk tore the man's ear, yet he sneered, mocking that the killer wore the wrong jacket and played dumb. He spat out the accusation, "You killed the boss' son and still act innocent." Then Feng Wenji realized the jacket OD had worn sparked this mess. He dropped the man, ordering Esli to take him to the boss for answers. Scene cut, a car sped down an empty road. Inside, silence thick as tension itself. The archer phoned the steward, nervously asking if his 3 million reward still stood. Well, snap back, the master would meet only at the manor. No questions. The man shrank, sweating, muttering meek assent. Soon, the car halted before a grand white mansion. The gates opened automatically, welcoming them inside. Once in, the gates slammed shut, sealing them off. They stepped out, walking deeper to where the master waited. The host's face was cold, eyes sharp enough to flay skin. The archer instantly bowed and fawned, praising his unmatched might, but the tycoon cut him off, voice of command silencing him. The archer bowed lower, not daring another word. The master's glare locked on Feng Wenji, dripping murder. He simply smiled politely, greeting with calm composure. The old man snorted, demanding why had been brought personally. He explained it hired 5 suppression mages to seal the area's powers. He feared the suspect might flee before questioning. Hearing this, Feng Wenji attested the area's necro aura was indeed sealed, yet the barrier felt flimsy, too weak to fully suppress him. His gaze flicked to the opposite chair and amplifier. nullifying nearby powers. The archer smirked smugly. Feng Wenji clicked his tongue. Admitting this setup was no joke. The man bragged had used talent resonance to relay the plan silently to the boss. The master rose, approaching slowly, aura heavy with killing intent. He roared, "Who sent you to murder my son?" Feng Wenji replied calmly, denying all and explaining the jacket's mix-up. The archer snapped, aiming his bow and calling him stubborn. Interrupted, Feng Wenji's eyes turned steel-cold. He lunged, breaking the man's arm with one strike. Screams filled the hall. His voice thundered, had enough of baseless accusations. A few more moves left the archer sprawled, speechless. Suddenly, dozens of red laser dots danced over his body. He froze. The master shouted, demanding if he served the Hai Lung or the Jian clan. Feng Wenji had only felt wary of this absurd guessing game. He tried to explain, but the man kept ranting until he yelled that had only found the jacket by chance. The tycoon stomped his head, raging that he dared argue while wearing his son's clothes. He turned, ordering the snipers to fire everywhere except under his own feet. That line ignited his buried fury. Memories of being humiliated 20 years ago resurfaced, but he was no longer the weak man he once was. Feng Wenji sprang up, kicking the old man's leg away so fast the latter froze. Deathly Kai thickened around him, then erupted in a violent surge. The death energy rode along the laser beams, locking the snipers' fingers so their guns went dead. In a blink, the death Kai flung them like straw onto the stone floor. Feng Wenji stood tall, roaring a challenge to all who dared face him. As weapons rained from the sky, he coldly asked if they were ready to listen now. The master turned pale, cursing himself. His own laser system had pierced the barrier, letting Fang counterattack. The old man sighed helplessly, asking what Fang wanted to say. Seeing the anger fade, Fang withdrew the death ki, restoring the silence. He took off his shirt, folded it neatly, and returned it, saying he had just found it in a hunter's room in Shuhai, nothing to do with the killings. Suddenly, a hope popped out, wide-eyed, asking about that Shuhai hunter. He added the wound on his arm was caused by a hunter from that same place. Feng Wenji frowned, asking why he wasn't drunk at the tavern. Aha scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. He lamented that he'd given up after just a few drinks and took an extra job to earn back booze money. Then he hurried to explain he only cooled the gun barrels, never meant to hurt anyone. Just then, the archer woke up and mentioned that Sing Below Chien also had an rank hunter from Shuhai. A hut stomped and shouted, "That's him, the lunatic who eats people. These bite marks prove it." Feng Wenji froze, repeating slowly, "Addicted to human flesh." He recalled seeing a full human skeleton in that hut, thinking it was a prop, but it might have been the owner's son. The master's voice cracked as he ordered Butler Lu to prepare a plane to Shuhei. The group quickly returned to the forest where Fang had left the dungeon. The roar of helicopter blades shattered the calm. Landing near the cabin, the archer used his scent ability to confirm the corpse matched the young master. The bite marks on the bones perfectly matched those on Ahu's arm, even the gum shape. That certainty made the master tremble, grief cutting his heart like blades. Recognizing his son, he clutched the remains and wailed, "My boy, why didn't you listen to your father?" Old memories flashed, the boy proudly showing had awakened his power. Back then, the father had dismissed it, saying money, not power, ruled all. The boy had sworn he'd never be richer than his father, but only cultivation could earn his respect. Then he walked away, confident he'd one day astonish his father. Butler Lo had advised sending guards to protect him, but the master refused, saying the boy must learn to stand alone to inherit his legacy. When the memory ended, the man collapsed, blaming himself for the tragedy. Grinding his teeth, he demanded, "Where is my son's killer?" The archer said the murderer was now a high-ranking member of the Shanxi Tang under Shangbo, Cheyenne filled with Brank Awakeners and above. The master gently laid the bones on a chair, eyes red, then he turned and ordered Butler Lu to gather all forces for vengeance. Butler wiped his tears and calmly warned that confronting Sengbo Cheyenne head-on was suicide. He added that Jing Xin was crafting a saintly image. Attacking him would ruin their reputation and drain resources before the fight even began. Butler Lu adjusted his glasses, eyes firm. "If you wish to strike, it'll make it happen." The master hugged the ashes, choking out, "My child, let's go home." His tears and vow of vengeance hung heavy in the mournful air as everyone bowed their heads. Ahud frowned, puzzled. Toxin Chunjiko was only Class C, so why did the bones dissolve? He remembered how the poison had burned through his armor, blood flooding his mouth. In agony, had screamed surrender, yet the madman kept biting, making him cry out in terror, "Stop, I give up already." Snapping out of it, Ahot wondered why that hunter's power was so abnormal. Feng Wenji stood silent, eyes cold on the vanished Arankor crate. As they gathered the bones, the archer said 2 pieces were missing. Butler Lo told him to pack them gently. Before leaving, the master softly said, "Little brother, please forgive a father's haste." Feng Wenji calmly replied, "Debts are clear, speak plainly." He only asked for a cloak to cover his face. Night fell, and Shan Susting was drowned in deathly kai. 2 guards shouted to haunt him, not expecting the killing aura that followed. 1/heads flew, blood splattered. The signboard shattered. Each step he took dragged a trail of ghostly wraiths. He passed walls lined with charity medals and commendations. The gang sneered. "Who's this clown?" He answered with his blade, lunging forward. They all unleashed their powers, shouting battle cries. He moved like a phantom, turning the place into a blood pool within moments. The last one trembled, begging for mercy. Weapon dropping, he said coldly, "Call Shihai out." The man nodded frantically and tried to run, but Death Kai sliced his neck. Fang Wanji finished him with contempt. Shihai emerged, deformed, drooling, roaring. "No need to call, I came myself," he sneered. "Besides me, your two rank fathers are waiting too." Fang Wanji glanced once and realized they'd been corrupted by greed from absorbing cores. He warned Esili, "None of this concerns me, leave." The hooded huntress mocked. "Think killing a few branks makes you scary?" The white-haired one jeered. "Cut him in three, winner gets his brank core." Fang Wanji smirked. The taunt worked. Both women had fallen into his death key trap. All three lunged, blades flashing wildly. He answered with a storm of death ki, blasting both away. The white-haired woman gasped. "Not bad, you almost scared me." The veiled one shouted, "Stop fooling around, fight for real." Fang Wanji grinned. "Really? Look at your feet." Death Kai spears burst through their bodies, screams echoing. Shihei countered with toxins, but he dodged cleanly. Fang Wanji scoffed. "Same old tricks." He unleashed a hurricane of death Kwai straight at him. Shihei roared, "I'm not as weak as you think," spewing poison wildly. The venom shot at his face before he could evade, yet he calmly swallowed the deadly liquid, then spat it back onto the enemy's face. Drawing agonized screams, he said coldly, "Now you remember your dignity." One head smash later, the skull shattered like porcelain. He snarled, "A name without power is just trash." Shihei shrieked, skin peeling, eyes splitting like a serpent's. In a blink, he turned into a green viper, roaring his rank for all to hear. Before he could bite, a sword pierced his throat and blood gushed out. Fang Wanji said coldly, "Greed without strength deserves death." The final strike ended it. He collapsed into a pool of dark blood. Another mocking voice called out, "Thanks for that." A blond man looked down at the corpse, grumbling about cleaning up his idiot teammate's mess. He smirked. "Nice move. Come with me, you're in. No test needed." Fang Wanji froze. This was the man who'd helped push him in the abyss and stolen 2 CNU. He growled, "So you're the corpse I buried once." He vanished in a flash, striking like lightning. His blade fell, but a firewall rose in time, leaving the blonde sweating. The man countered with flames, yet Fang brushed off the burning coat. His foe still smirked arrogantly. Suit darkened Fang's face as he analyzed the opponent's fire system with chilling calm. The blonde drew a katana, bragging about killing 3 ranks. Posing like a fake hero, he threatened further, then hung his fur coat on the sword hilt like a cocky executioner. Suddenly, he punched forward, shouting his rank of 5 of Beach Dia. The fist shot like a cannon, but Fang blocked it cleanly. The opponent ignited flames on his shoulder in that instant. A follow-up hook smashed his jaw, sending him reeling as the blonde shouted, "What are you waiting for?" Fang glanced at the burn mark, confused and clearly guarded. The blonde tapped his temple, sneering, "Trying to analyze me? Use your brain." He boasted that weaklings could never grasp Beach Duist combat mechanics, then moved to strike again, but Fang crouched low and flung a brick at him. The brick heated up violently, glowing like molten coal. The blonde laughed, thinking it useless. A second later, the Death Spirit sword pierced through the scorch hole, grazing his face. He raised a golden blade to block, sneering, "You think you're the only one with toys?" Seeing that block, Fang instantly knew the man wasn't actually fire type. He closed in, knocking the weapon from the man's grip, stunning him. Death Key wrapped Fang's fists as he unleashed a storm of blows. The blonde staggered, baffled by his fearless advance. The ground cracked, dust swirling under the relentless barrage. Fang mocked, "Why not keep burning? Or is your hand slower than your brain can't accelerate electrons fast enough?" The blonde froze, shocked at being cornered so easily. Fang sneered, "That's the face of real fear." Had already noticed the flames spread faster through the metal parts of the coat, but in close combat, pure fabric only singed lightly. It did ignite. When heating the brick, had realized the metal content made heat transfer instant. To test it, he used the Death Spirit sword's invisible energy. Fire couldn't touch it. Fang Wanji laughed coldly. "Nice trick, but I still stripped it bare." He scoffed that an unstable mental talent would soon collapse, yet dared call him weak. A thunderous punch sent the blonde flying, blood spilling from his mouth. He staggered up, eyes glowing red, yelling that Fang had only seen a glimpse. Through clenched teeth, he claimed his full power could accelerate both matter and atoms. Flames erupted wildly as his body cracked in blood. He screamed madly that this heat could incinerate all life, but his arm suddenly flew off, eyes going blank. Then his body was sliced apart, limbs falling like a puppet's. His dying scream echoed across the sea of blood. Fang Wanji said Esili, "Death Ki isn't material, you could never touch it." The blonde man trembled in terror, begging for his life. Fang Wanji replied curtly, "Relax, I'm just sending you to meet Jian Chin." The man screamed in panic, "Wait, don't kill me," with the blade at his throat. He stammered and mentioned Tu Sivenu's name. That name made Fang Wanji hesitate for a heartbeat, yet the sword still pierced through, blood gushing crimson. He caught the dying man, shouting for news of Sivenu. The man only squinted, breath fading to silence. Fang Wanji clenched his jaw, choking down rage. He turned away, doubts swirling about the tangled bond between Jian and Sinyu, but on the dying man's lips appeared a sly, mocking smile. In his mind, he thought, good thing I extracted the core in time, or it'd be ashes like 20 years ago. That monster's still terrifying. He believed he could regrow his limbs in 10 minutes and had to warn brother China the urn. Yet before he could celebrate, his blood suddenly surged upward into the air. Eyes wide in horror, he couldn't fathom what was happening. His body was shredded by a vortex. Fang Wanji opened a spatial ring, erasing all traces before walking away calmly. He thought to himself, this time every clue was gone, no one could trace him. The entire Shan's Teng was now nothing but ashes and bare stone. From afar, Mexio Han gritted her teeth, cursing his recklessly bold move. She altered her appearance and quietly headed for the dungeon where Jian Chuanan was fighting. At that moment, a blonde underling asked Brother Chin if they should advance. An errant beast blocked the way. Jian Chin smirked, saying he'd just reached a rank himself. Why fear? He shouted that it'd show the world his true power. As he spoke, he charged, sword light scattering like fireworks. Still boasting midair, he ordered his men to record him slaying the beast, but his sword suddenly froze midair. As if seized by an unseen force, he blinked in disbelief, stammering, "Huh!" The beast coiled its spiked tail around him, squeezing until blood spattered, and his screams delighted it. Gritting his teeth, he wondered if he'd been hypnotized by the creature's gaze. His men panicked, scattering and shouting for help. The spikes neared his eyes, ready to pierce through. Just then, a radiant beam split the air, snatching him from death's grip. His savior was none other than the golden-haired angel who once aided Fang Wanji. Now in pure white, serene and divine, she murmured, "Almost died there." The beast roared in fury, enraged its prey was stolen. Its spiked tendrils lashed behind them like a storm of whips. The angel held him close, voice gentle. "Stay calm, I'll heal you." Half conscious, he mumbled, "Am I in heaven?" A phone ringtone cut through, yanking him from a lustful dream of demonesses. Jian Chin jolted awake, snarling into the phone, warned against late-night calls. The news enraged him. He slammed his hand into a succubus head nearby. He roared, "How could the whole building and everyone vanish?" Then barked orders for a morning press conference. The demon girls, drawn by the scent of blood, slithered up to lick his hand, a scene both absurd and grotesque. Next morning, Jian donned a black suit, face feigning grief under the barrage of flashing cameras. He embraced victims' families, tearfully vowing to treat them as his own parents for life. Bodyguards cleared reporters aside as he strode to the podium. Beneath the Qingbo Chai Hen logo, he solemnly declared the Shan Sitang incident was still under investigation. Forcing out a few fake tears, he lamented the tragic fall of his comrades. He solemnly vowed to turn the ruins into a welfare home and set up a fund for victims' families. But the families, furious, rejected it. They wanted justice, not money. Jian Chin instantly shifted tone, vowing to destroy the culprit no matter how powerful. He slammed the table, the board crashed down, yet a sly grin curled on his lips. A beast masked as a hero. In a sealed room, the great master watched the broadcast, sneering but admitting Jian Chin acted brilliantly, winning both the people and his superiors. Their eyes seemed to meet through the screen, both recalling one name, Fang Wanji. Butler understood, bowed to receive the order, and muttered he'd find a way to bring him back. The scene shifted. Fang Wanji shook his head coolly, saying simply, "I'm not going." Butler Lo wiped sweat, gently pleading that it was only to help avenge and to receive thanks. Fang raised an eyebrow suspiciously. "How do you know I left the mark?" A bird swooped by, startling Lu, who quickly suggested changing spots, claiming fear of winged things. They hid beneath an elevated rail. Wind howling. Luckily, no birds followed. After much persuasion, Fang finally nodded reluctantly, the car rolling off in heavy silence. Reaching the lavish mansion, we'll joke softly, "D under that bridge so long, don't miss the old place." Fang sighed, glancing around. "That house only makes me want to cry." Soon they entered the grand hall, glittering with light from every corner. Butler Le bowed deeply. "Master, Fang Wanji has arrived." The great master calmly set a steaming cup of tea before him, smiling an invitation. As he sipped, his sharp eyes studied Fang, who finished his tea unfazed. Setting the cup down, the master said sternly, "You were a bit heavy-handed this time." Fang glared back coldly. "Who told you it was me?" The man tapped the teacup evenly, voice weighty. "Your eyes said everything." That night Shan Sintang vanished. Who else could hide it so perfectly? Fang pressed his lips, replying vaguely, "I had my own reasons, not just for you." Seen him dodge, the master tapped the table, signaling more tea. While pouring, he warned that though he knew Fang's hatred for Jian Chin, the man was now praised by the world. Showing up would brand him a traitor. The word stunned Fang. Had he truly investigated that deeply? The master exhaled smoke, adding, "You're strong, but what if 100 Aor's ranks strike together? This world's crueler than any dungeon." Fang frowned. "You called me here just to say give up revenge?" The master lit his cigar, voice firm. "Who said give up?" He exhaled smoke, eyes razor sharp. "To get revenge, you need 3 things: strategy, allies, and money." Then shrugged lightly, adding, "Those 3 I know a bit about." Fang nodded slightly, inwardly admiring him, realizing he'd been away too long and forgotten such simple truth. Suddenly, A foul odor rose from Fang's body. Flies swarmed as the master pinched his nose, scolding, "Haven't bathed. You smell like a corpse," then ordered servants to prepare a bath. The attendants led him away, seeing no threat. Fang followed quietly. Once he was gone, Butler Lo said gravely, "Devouring Tumbilo Chien is a huge gamble and you're betting the most." The master fell silent, then asked softly, "Does he resemble my son?" Lo thought, then replied, "A little, but the young master was far more handsome." Far away, Fang Wanji suddenly sneezed repeatedly, clueless why, then entered the bathroom as directed. He smirked confidently, stripping off his shirt to reveal a stone-carved torso. Tossing his clothes aside, he stepped leisurely under the cool shower. The door creaked open. A clear female voice chimed, "You bay downstairs. I'm too lazy to climb." A black-haired girl entered with her maid, removing her outer coat. Through the steam, she saw only a vague silhouette and mistook him for her brother. Eyes wide, heart racing, she whispered, "Is it really you, brother?" Overcome, she leaped into his arms, tears flowing, crying, "You're alive!" Faced with the trembling stranger, Fang Wanji froze like a statue, utterly baffled. Beside them, the maid, actually Mgak Sio Kon in disguise, instantly misread the scene and rushed to place glasses on the young lady. With them on, the girl realized the figure only slightly resembled her brother and was otherwise a total stranger. Blushing furiously, she screamed, "Father, there's a pervert in the house," then fled in shame. As Mexio-kun panicked and shouted, "Miss, at least put something on." When Mexio-kun turned to leave, Fang quickly caught her shoulder. He said calmly, "Wait for me outside." Once they were gone, he relaxed under the running water. But his mind circled the question, what was she doing here? After bathing and drying his hair, he stepped out to find Mnexio-kun waiting. He teased half seriously, "So bold, why not sneak into Chang Bio Chien and kill Jian Ken instead?" Removing her disguise, Mtexioen replied firmly, "To reach Jian Chin, I must investigate first." He tilted his head. "So what's your next step?" She answered softly, "Hide under the old tree's shadow, act under the master's protection." Then added quickly, "Can't stay long, or the young lady will suspect." With that, she turned back into a maid and hurried off. Soon after, the great master arranged for Fang to rest in his son's room. Smiling slyly, "You met my daughter just now, didn't you?" Fang nodded calmly. "Just a small misunderstanding." "Ah, may I have a black cloak?" The man's face darkened, barking, "My son also wore black. You want my daughter mistaking you again?" Just then, Butler entered, reporting, "Sir, the Goshun temple founded by Jin Osen seems suspicious." The master glanced at the sponsorship chart. His eyes gleamed. "TFD, it isn't that ad from the Hai Lung Hue." He hurled the tablet, springing up with an icy snarl, daring to collude with Sang Bio Chien. "Move out." Seeing Fang motionless, he barked, still standing, "You're coming with me." Soon at the Hafi Lung Hu Den, thugs crowded a mahjong table, arguing loudly. One slammed a tot, laughing, "Bing!" The bald man bangs the table. "Kill Bing, he'll crush you at noon." Suddenly, a car crashed straight in, scattering them like leaves in a storm. Butlerlo stepped out, voice steady. "Careful, sir." Dust billowed, walls collapsing around them. The bald man roared, "Who dares cause trouble in Haiva Long Hu?" Before Fang's punch launched him onto the roof, the whole gang went berserk, charging like wolves. One's arm morphed into a drill. In an instant, Fang snapped the drill arm's bones cracked. The man screamed, "My hands!" Before finishing the cry, he took a crushing kick to the jaw. A man in glasses tried to ambush him but got booted flat instead. Fang seized a knife, voice icy, threatening to blow the man's skull open. One punch later, the thug collapsed unconscious. The great master stormed in, shouting, likening the brawl to a wild beast hunt. He ordered Butler Lu to handle the chaos before Ad caught wind. Lu obeyed, calmly stepping into the Hai Lung Hu's ring amid gleaming blades. His footsteps echoed as thick smoke suddenly filled the room. The gang muttered nervously about the strange mist. A girl in a yellow dress yelled, brandishing her blade, urging her comrades to charge. She rushed forward, unaware that behind her loomed the colossal Yensej in armor descending. Steel spikes tore flesh, blood spread across the floor. "Dying?" she gasped as Lo coldly asked where Boss D was. She pointed weakly toward her room. He sealed his armor, thanked her politely, and walked off. Inside, a frail man breathed through an oxygen mask amid cluttered medicine and a pungent drug scent. Tadia, broken in body, looked up hoarsely to ask what the master wanted. The great master lifted a candle from the altar, smirking at the sight of a Bodhisattva statue. Then he tilted the candle, dripping hot wax on Adia's face, snarling about the unpaid debt. I winced, saying the smuggling money was laundered and used to care for his men. None left. He sighed, claiming he only wanted peace after the gang's truce. The master threw the candle down. It clattered sharply. His voice turned cold. Had extended the debt but demanded to know Jean Twin's scheme. Di sweated silently, frozen in fear. Seeing that, the master gestured for Lu to act. Lu kicked the oxygen tank, denting it. Air hissed out violently. Dui panicked, screaming curses at the saboteur. He reached for a spare tank but was stopped short. The master leaned close, voice like a blade, "Still hiding something, gasping weakly. Dui confessed had only bought a few gifted children for Jian Chin's academy. He admitted he first thought it was for training, later learned they accepted normal kids too after that. He knew nothing. The master's eyes stayed icy. The man grabbed D's hair, warning that one word out would make Jian come kill him himself. Then he walked out, leaving the room steeped in deathly silence. Fang Wanji followed quietly, admiring the master's cunning, smiling faintly at the thought of his own chance to flip the game. He stopped before a noisy bar where ladder and liquor blended thick in the air. Since meeting Xin Yu, had quit drinking, but tonight, the strange urge returned. The bar's screen lit up with ads for a charity gala hosted by Jian Chin. The name froze him, flooding him with painful memories. Back then, had been just a nobody in the guild, invisible to all. Now Jian Chin stood atop power, and Fang pondered the 20 turbulent years between. Lost in thought, a sudden splash of vomit poured over his head. Looking up, he saw a drunken old comrade retching over him. The man laughed foolishly, called for more drinks, and teased the mage Atu beside him. Moments later, he collapsed, dead drunk. Atu, still sober, fished some cores from the man's pocket. Muttering about weak drinkers, he chuckled and cheerfully invited Fang Wanji to drink with him. They clinked glasses amid pounding music and a Misi announcing the next auction item. Atu sighed, praising Jian Chin's brilliance while lamenting a decade stuck at low rank. Fang asked curiously about the battle that made Jian Chin famous. Atu was stunned, recalling the Great Wall Watch War, then realizing Fang had vanished for 20 years, began to retell it. Fang nodded, his mind drifting into the fog of the past. Remembering his days in the secret realm eating shark and monster meat, he invented a weird hamburger. The dish looked fancy but tasted bland, killing his appetite. He once longed to escape bloodshed and live in peace. Just then, Atu's worried voice rose. His master was dying and wouldn't eat. Atu begged his teacher not to jinx it, to stay spirited even without food. Seeing his master ogling the nurse, he snapped and yelled encouragement. Suddenly, a floating emergency notice appeared before them. It announced a maximum danger mission, all rank B and above to Donghai to stop the invasion. The old teacher leapt up, yanked out as if, and declared destiny had come. Atui trembled, begging to quit since death was almost certain. Master Sia recounted his cowardice that doomed his family. Eyes blazing with regret, he swore this time he'd never retreat, even if it killed him. Opening a drawer, he drew out his domineering ice staff. Stunning Atui, Atu joked that even if the sky fell, his master could hold it up. They set off immediately, no hesitation. At Donghai, crowds surged like stormfire. Killing intent thick in the air, Atui gawked in awe at the gathering of countless elites. Before them stood Fan Qian, and Shrank legend who could kill with one glance. Beside him was Lo Shiba, the braggart strongman who once barehanded 3 steer beasts. Master Sia chuckled, teasing his disciple for acting starstruck. He jerked his chin elsewhere. Zong Tuxi was also here. Atu turned and panicked seeing both giants present. One was the vice president of the global guild, nearly supreme in rank. The other, Du Shi, a genius poison master rarely seen in action. Lady Du greeted Master Se, who proudly introduced his student. She coldly mocked Atui for daring the battlefield below rank B. Atui frowned, stung by her scornful tone. Master Sia waved it off, saying survival was the real goal, but Atui stood firm. He'd fight for his country without fear. Du Shi laughed, warning him to run fast if danger struck. Then she turned serious, asking for a situation report. A massive 2 million ton object was approaching the South Sea. Space barriers blinded satellites and radar, forcing pure defense. Atui gaped, thinking it was a super fleet, heavy as a mothership. He smirked, guessing the enemy was strong enough to alarm the Master Sia frowned, doubting Dengtan Nation would be so reckless. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion, something smashed the barrier, and Du Shi shouted that it was breaking through. The shield shattered, and enemy fleets poured in like living steel floods. Atui laughed triumphantly. His prediction was right. Many debated targeting the mothership, but hit chances were near zero. Master Xia grew grim. Du Shi sneered, daring him to show his ultimate move. On the enemy side, tension hung thick like a storm waiting to burst. The enemy commander spoke solemnly. This was a death battle for a dying nation's honor. Before he finished, electronic artillery rained down fiercely. A colossal ice wall rose, blocking all shells and shocking pilots. Many fighter jets crashed, exploding into dazzling lights. Master Xia stood tall as a shield, igniting his disciples' fiery resolve. The enemy general roared in fury. Sneering, he hugged a massive shell, threatening total annihilation. With insane strength, he hurled it like thunder crashing down. The warhead pierced the ice and exploded, fire covering the sea. Atui gritted his teeth and screamed in rage. He stepped back to chant while Master Sia moved forward to shield him. Cold surged. The ice staff glowed as frost spread over his body. Atui shouted in panic, fearing his master would sacrifice himself. Silent, Master Xia exhaled white mist and roared. Eternal frost burst. The frost erupted, freezing the entire sea into solid steel. The enemy fleet was locked in ice, motionless in the frozen wasteland. Enemy soldiers shivered and wailed as the cold sliced their flesh. A shout warned the spell could kill even Shranks, urging troops in the fire zone. The general scoffed, mocking the Arank magic as harmless. He ordered both motherships to activate their full armor stores. Du Shi commanded an instant counterstrike. No delays allowed. Dark clouds thickened, then a massive beam pierced the sky. The enemy general paled. It was a pillar of annihilation energy. The beam fell, shattering the ice sea and scattering panicked foes. Cries erupted. Run. They've hit the ammo bay. Alarms blared. Warning of weapon overload and total failure. A colossal explosion lit up the entire battlefield. Master Xia collapsed, trembling and gasping for air. Tui laughed wildly, thrilled by their victory. But his grin froze as he saw something horrific ahead. Dushi forced a smile, joking there were still plenty of fish left. Smoke cleared, revealing reinforcements. Awakened warriors from Liao Nation. The vice president ordered Chai Hao to assess both sides' power. Chai Hao activated his ability, eyes glowing as he scanned the field. He reported the enemy had 1 rank, 8 R ranks, 197B, and 412C. Their side had 1 rank, 5 26B, 89C, and 1 lonely C. Everyone glanced at Atui. Smirking, he roared back, claiming he was still a mighty mage. Losing control. Atui screamed and charged, ignoring Master Xia's call. Dushi smirked, unsurprised, had actually rushed in. Atui burned with confidence, believing basic spells could overcome ranks. He swung his hand, casting Frost Peach Dance, sending icy vortices at the enemy. The enemy commander instantly ordered the warrior Smu to engage. Atui declared boldly that anyone who touched him would freeze solid. Master Xia went pale, muttering that disaster was coming. Dushi rested a hand on his shoulder, telling him to watch calmly. Smu kicked Atui in the chest so hard space itself seemed to freeze. Atui flew back, blood spraying, body smashing into the cliff. He sobbed weakly, realizing his master had always gone easy on him. Dushi noted coolly the opponent used only Brank power, terrifying restraint. Smu sneered arrogantly, mocking the combat strength of Showang Nation. Then he stared down in horror. One of his legs was rotting away, dripping blood. Dushi smirked, revealing shed-coated Atui and poison that activates past his limit. 2 enemy allies rushed to save him, shouting his name. Upon touching him, they melted instantly, making Dushi laugh madly. Atui collapsed, eyes empty, lamenting his stupidity for charging into hell. Fang Wanji stood afar, sighing that this was where his downfall began. In moments, 3 enemy prodigies dissolved into bloody puddles. The enemy general roared in fury before he could give the antidote. His troops were all dead. Dushi sneered, declaring them traitors and warning Shed active blocked again. The general growled coldly, demanding they step aside at once. Dushi stood firm, pointing at the warship, exposing their weapons from Deng to Nation and mocking them as foreign lapdogs. The general fell silent, his face dark as cracking stone. Dushi smirked slyly, taunting them as leashed dogs and mocking for an alliance. She added that Sandao should just take Showang's citizenship to save face. The general snarled, vowing to cross borders to seize the traitors. His final warning. He raised his hand. 2 elite warriors and 20 soldiers aimed, ready to fire. Zhonghu whispered about waiting for reinforcements, but Dushi cut him off. Trustworthy allies were already here. Within 500 kilometers, no one strong enough remained to shift the tide. Lower ranks coming would only die. The enemy's defense was airtight. Zhonghu still gazed at the sea, insisting the battle wasn't hopeless yet. He calculated that if Master Xia, and Sandao plus 8 strengths joined forces, victory was still possible. Dushi smirked teasingly, asking if the enemy dared to solo 9 at once. She raised an eyebrow, proudly hinting they might need a reminder of her true power. She scoffed, bragging she once beat the guild president, though the world thought it was a draw. Zhonghu cursed she had slipped him a laxative then. Dushi just laughed, claiming a win still a win. At that moment, 2 enemy soldiers swallowed red pills. Eyes blazing like fire, they roared and charged like beasts freed from cages. Dushi frowned, unsure if it was a suicide move or a test strike. Suddenly 20 voices cried long live, echoing across the battlefield. Their bodies split, blood gushing, flesh tearing in mad frenzy. Master Xia gasped they had taken the insane Jade Knight pill. He raised his hand, signaling the army to halt. A booming bang, a colossal ice wall surged up to shield the field. Troops cheered, but Master Xia panted, sweating, begging Atui for the 9-heart pill. Atui lay sprawled, groaning, body shattered and motionless. He sobbed that all his bones were broken, the pain unbearable. Fanchin rushed to find medicine, tearing through bags to save Master Xia. The ice wall quaked violently, cracking apart as Fanchin shouted in panic. He explained the Jade Knight pill unleashed extreme energy enough to push missiles off orbit. He ordered all ability users capable of breaking magic to assist immediately. Master Xia collapsed to his knees, breath fading, life flickering out. A hand appeared just in time, pressing the 9-heart pill to his lips. He swallowed, color returning fast as wind shifting direction. Fanchin asked if he was alright. Master Xia smiled weakly in thanks. He raised his staff, rebuilding the ice barrier, glowing like crystal under heaven. The support team chanted, merging metal and water energies to fortify defense. On the enemy side, one arrogant man stepped up, sneering at the wall. He unleashed a thunderous punch, yet the wall didn't budge. He gawked in disbelief, spreading his arms, eyes bluttered. He screamed, "Long live!" Like a lunatic. His body exploded, shockwaves fracturing the entire wall. The ice barrier that once stopped even shells shattered from a single suicidal blast. Zhonghu shuddered. If they all exploded, their army would be wiped out. She instantly ordered an attack to destroy the human bombs before it was too late. With one mighty punch, she sent an enemy flying skyward. He exploded, the shockwave shaking the entire front line. The enemy general shouted orders, split forces to block her and shatter the ice wall. 4 soldiers tackled Zhonghua, pinning her to the ground. The rest swarmed the wall like red ants. Zhonghua laughed coldly, mocking their underestimation of Shou Wang's tactics. Power burst forth. She flung the 4 grapplers away like trash. She spun 2 enemies by the legs, hurling them like a whirlwind that cleared the path. The last 2 were tossed high into the night sky. A second later, explosions lit up the heavens. One dazed enemy stumbled, confused at what just happened. Lo Shiba grabbed him by the neck and threw him sky high like garbage. Lo Shiba, cigarette dangling, swung lazily. Each step sent foes flying. He stopped, blew smoke, and said fall, letting them drop 10,000 meters to their deaths. He shrugged, saying flying skills useless, freefall is the best cleanup. Elsewhere, poisoned enemy gifted ones began melting away. Their flesh dripped, blood and smoke mixing into a nauseating stench. Dushi frowned, sensing something bad on the horizon. She knew even in victory, the enemy had crossed the border. The real nightmare was still coming. She pondered the endless fighting only wasted lives. Perhaps a deeper plot hid behind this invasion. She turned to Chai Yi, reminding him only 3 minutes remained in the trial battle. Chai reported swiftly 618 intruders recorded. None escaped. Dushi narrowed her eyes to advance, but a shadow blocked her path. He sneered, challenging her with his famed poison sword, declaring a duel of toxin masters. But as his blade fell, a massive skeleton blocked it coldly. He sighed that poison failed, then summoned and shrank demon beast to stall while Dushi broke the stalemate. Meanwhile, the distant enemy commander gathered energy in his palm. Eyes sharp as blades, facing him, battered Zhonghua charged again like a living storm. The commander froze, forced to unleash his trump card. He activated Buddha Diagram Trinity, but Zhonghua closed in, forcing him to raise the 100-inch mirror shield. Her single punch severed his arm. His triple blessings. He realized in terror she was no human but a monster in disguise. Zhonghua unleashed a flurry of blows. Breaking his formation, he hesitated. Knowing failure meant death, he grinned cunningly, convinced luck was turning his way. Dushi heard the roar and shouted at the poison master, scolding his hesitation. He only smirked back, mocking her to shut up. Zhonghua snapped, reminding him of past favors and calling him a troublemaker. Dushi's mind spun, still unable to read the enemy's hidden scheme. As the foe prepared his killing move, the poison master suddenly understood and barked for him to stop. He realized the best tactic was to let both sides destroy each other. His body blurred like smoke appearing behind the attacker. He coldly declared he knew the plan. The foe recoiled in fear, refusing to strike again. He turned and fled like the wind. Dushi smiled slyly, murmuring the scheme had succeeded. Meanwhile, Zhonghua was fighting when a strange murderous light flashed. She roared, demanding to know who dared appear. Then she turned, shocked to see Sandao there. The poison master seemed to have uncovered the enemy's secret. But Sandao said nothing and pulled his troops away. He immediately ordered all forces to focus on killing the poison master. Losses be damned, and shrank from the enemy side, shot up, shouting wildly like a madman. Someone asked why he was rushing to drag the whole squad over. Surrounded, Zhonghua groaned, barely catching her breath as foes swarmed. She grudgingly admired that poison master's menace. Elsewhere, Master Xia still hurled icy sword strikes at his foe. The enemy hastily raised a shield to block the attack. He tried to retreat, claiming Sandao had summoned him, but Master Xia bound him tight with an ice spear, cutting off escape. Gasping, he lamented that no one could stop the Shranks now, only delay them. He sighed wistfully for his lost youth. Before he finished, a giant mace smashed down, the wielder roaring for him to move aside. The enemy shouted for comrades as NC to retreat. Master Xia collapsed, blood soaking the ground, the battlefield falling into silence. From afar, a toy stood frozen, heart-torn seeing his master fall. He glanced over to see Dushi trapped between life and death. An enemy commander barked for a joint assault. No one was to escape. He cast a forbidden spell, his body falling into darkness. Dushi's cold eyes flared. She countered, mocking that with more pressure, she might really lose. But the 10,000 army's seal crashed down, its power freezing her mid-move. She cursed under breath. Shranks teaming up were a real pain. Another foe lunged in, sneering that with her hands sealed she couldn't spread poison, then aimed a kick to pierce her. Dushi smirked calmly, toxic mist swirling, mocking their stupidity. Her poison dissolves in true lightning anyway. A single drop splashed onto the attacker's face. He fell dead instantly without a sound. Dushi warned Esli that standing too close was suicide. The remaining Dao Realm fighter panicked and raised his defense art. Seeing poison pour from her lips, he yanked his allies back. Dushi seized the moment, grabbed one by the neck, and coldly warned against wandering alone. A light twist and the neck snapped. Instantly, a sword flashed from behind the enemy, grinning, timing it perfectly. Dushi was thrown back, blood spraying, body falling like a dead leaf, wiping blood from her eyes. She silently noted that Xinjing's squad had only 6 left. She wondered how long she could last. Sandao stepped forward, voice icy, declaring this battle would decide the end. He signaled the formation, using an 8-foot demon jade to expose the truth, sneering that had seen enough. As the fumes spread, Sandao recognized it as a survival rune array. He realized the foe was a true toxin master, just a vessel for a spatial poison array. Sandao ordered all poison wards redirected to counterattack. He growled that such filthy tricks had made him overestimate her. With her poison neutralized, Dushi was nothing but a body-strengthened fighter. She tore her sleeve, eyes sharp, laughing defiantly. Without hesitation, she lunged. Sandao sneered she was just a fly smashing into stone. Even foreseeing poison, he couldn't react fast enough. A barrier flared up, blocking all the toxins. Sandao sneered, asking whose art was stronger, her poison or his array. Dushi glanced at her necrotic hand, calmly noting it was a plague-type toxin not fatal yet. She pressed forward, aiming to drain his energy first, confident she had the antidote. Suddenly, a hulking brute blocked her path, roaring when it joined the fight. His thunderous punch slammed into her poison armor, sending Dushi rolling away. He praised her for dueling Lai Dao Nation elites head and truly impressive. With broken teeth and bloodied lips, Dushi still smirked, declaring they'd fallen in her trap. She calculated the counterstrike timing, ready to take a few down. With her agile form danced backward, dodging the flurry like a deadly waltz. One foe growled in frustration. Her attack range was too narrow. He barked at his allies to clear her combat line, but someone shouted in panic the situation had gone off-plan. Dushi had twisted his spatial limit into a reversal strike. Sandao coldly ordered an immediate shift in formation. He commanded spacing adjustments, front luring, back ambushing in perfect rhythm. The troops laughed proudly, praising the tactic's brilliance. Dushi smirked calmly, seemingly amused by their new battle style. She activated her poison armor, boasting that only Sandao's 100-inch mirror could pierce it. Before her toxins spread, enemy behind shouted infernal blaze. Fire engulfed the array as he mocked her poison. Yet before his laugh finished, Ice Blade pierced his chest, shattering his defenses. Dushi smiled coldly, saying his defense was strong but her sword wasn't weaker. Fang Wanji gasped, baffled how Strength died so anticlimactically. A toy burst out laughing, saying in this twisted war, strengths were just movie tickets. He looked at Dushi admiringly, asking how she dropped 2 equals in a row. She smiled, activating hidden power, replying coolly it was only a warm-up. Everyone stared, stunned that the poison mistress wielded pure physical might rivaling any on the field.